Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Touch. I'm Darwin Campbell. The Morning Touch is brought to you by the Chapter for the Homeless and the FSBC in Glendale. This morning, Saturday morning, quiet, peaceful Saturday morning, the world doesn't seem so peaceful. When you go from being outdoors where it's quiet and peaceful to turning on your television set, you see all of the turbulence going on. Israel in the throes of a conflict with Hamas. China sailing the South China Seas against other navies, making threats against Taiwan. We see Iran making threats against the United States in the Persian Gulf. We see Russia bordered up against Ukraine, making threats about what they may or may not do. My friends, we're looking at a world that has problems. We're looking at people who really don't know how to love one another. Jesus says, love one another as I have loved you. Jesus taught us that we are one people. And someday he's going to reconcile the one people to himself. But my friends, right now, as we look out and we see these issues, I want to offer you some wonderful words today. Because in light of all of this turbulence, in spite of all of this darkness and the threats going on around us, we have reason to be encouraged. One of the most overlooked Psalms is Psalm 75. Psalm 75 offers us wonderful words. Let me share with you for a few moments those wonderful words from Psalm 75, so that today when you go out, you'll be encouraged. In spite of the darkness going on around you, in spite of all the turbulence and trouble and problems that you're hearing about from Washington to China, from Russia to Turkey and the Middle East, you can be encouraged. This one thing, God offers us some hope. Wonderful words. Listen, we give thanks to you, God. We give thanks to you for your name is always near. People tell us about your wonderful works. That's what we're going to do this morning. People tell us about your wonderful works, your wonderful words. When I choose a time, I will judge fairly. When the earth and all of its inhabitants shake, I am the one who steadies its pillars. I say to the boastful, do not boast. And I say to the wicked, do not lift up your horn. Do not lift up your horn against heaven, which is what many of them are doing. Do not speak arrogantly, which is what many of them are doing. Exaltation does not come from the east or the west or the desert. Exaltation, greatness does not come because you're from China or the United States. Greatness does not come because you're from Turkey or Iran. It does not come from the east or the west or even the desert. For God is the judge, China. God is the judge, Russia. God is the judge, Iran. God is the judge, Hamas. God is the judge, Syria. My friends, these people have overlooked the most important point, heaping up to themselves power, military might, sword rattling, trying to strike fear into the world, trying to dominate the world. But my friends, I've got one answer. Psalm 75 says, God is the judge. Not only that, listen to the following verses. He will bring down one and exalt another. For there is a cup in the Lord's hand, full of wine and blended spices. When he pours it out, all of the wicked of the earth will drink, draining it to the dregs. In other words, they're going to drink up their power, thinking that they've heaped themselves up, that they're all powerful, that they're all military mighty, that they're all great. and that they're going to take over the world. They're going to run the world. They're going to be telling you and me what to do. But there's one thing that China and Russia and Iran and Turkey and Syria and all of the wicked have forgotten. God is the judge. As for me, verse 9, I will tell about him forever. I will sing praises to God of Jacob. I will cut off the horns of the wicked. There it is. The judgment of God is sure against those who declare themselves exalted, against those who declare themselves mighty, against those who say they are greater and more powerful than God, against those who say that they're going to rule the world in spite of God. God says no. God is the judge. He says, I will do this. He said, the wicked, I will cut off all their horns, but the horns of the righteous will be lifted up. You know, we don't read Psalms 75 enough, because if we read Psalm 75 enough, we would know this, that in spite of what's going on in the world, the turbulence, the saber rattling, the sword rattling, the military intimidation, the wicked don't understand. But let me break it down for you. Even though it's much overlooked, it doesn't make it no less true. The wicked will drink and become drunk on its own wine, only to find out that they have been poisoned by their own ambition, that they have been poisoned by their own foolishness, that they have been poisoned by their own atheistic agnosticism that makes them think that they're dominant over God. They're not dominant over God. It says it all in verse 7. God is the judge. Take heart. God is the judge. Don't be discouraged. God is the judge. He'll have the last say. God is the judge. And judgment is coming to the wicked. God will cut them off. And only the righteous will stand. Only the righteous will survive. You know, it's shameful that the devil himself is using those atheistic nations to try to strike a chord against Israel and against the righteous, to try to turn the Bible upside down. But my friend, there's coming a day. The good news is, and I'm telling you about this wonderful news, I'm sharing this wonderful work. There will come a day God will cut them off. And we should be encouraged that no matter what we see going on around us, that no matter how bad it seems, no matter how dark it seems, no matter how many bombs and bullets and missiles are going off, no matter how many people are in the streets with clubs and Molotov cocktails and guns, God is the judge, and God is in control. We can be the hard-headed little children, stubborn in our ways, all we want to be. But know this, God is the judge. There is coming a day when he will put the hammer down and he will cut off the horns of the wicked and the unrighteous, and only the horns of the righteous will be lifted up. Psalm 75 says it all. We have every reason to be encouraged, knowing that God's in control and that God will judge the wicked and the righteous will stand forever. Be encouraged this weekend. Don't worry about the bad things that are going on. God's in control. God is the judge. And the wicked, God has an appointment, special time, appointed day for them. Be encouraged. Enjoy your weekend. The Morning Touch is brought to you by the Chaplain for the Homeless and the FSBC in Glendale. Go forth, encouraged, knowing that God is on your side and that God is in control. See you next time on The Morning Touch.